What if I told you the moment that broke you wasn't the betrayal, but the lies you told yourself afterwards? You know the one. They didn't mean it. They're just going through a tough time. That's not who they really are. But what if it was? What if that uncomfortable moment, that sharp comment, disappearing act, or that flash of cruelty wasn't just a glitch, but a glimpse? When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Maya Angelou said that, and she didn't mean it as a suggestion. She meant it as a lifeline. So why don't we grab it? Why do we stare directly at the red flag, and then we squint until it looks like a white one? Why do we rewrite what we saw to stay in a story that's no longer true? This video will show you why you keep getting hurt by others and how to stop it. It starts with actually seeing who they are. Whether it's a friend, a lover, a boss, or even a family member, there's a moment, one moment, when they show you, not tell you, but show you exactly who they are. The most infuriating part of such a scenario is that you feel it. Your gut tenses, your chest tightens, your intuition practically shouts. But instead of honoring that moment, you just cushion it. You gave it padding. You gave them another chance, then another. And sometimes the pain we carry isn't from what they did, but from what we didn't accept. So let me ask you something. Can you remember the moment they revealed themselves? Not the final fight, not the goodbye. The first time, when their mask slipped, when their warmth cooled, when your soul whispered, "Pay attention." Why didn't you believe them? In the next few minutes, we're going to dive inside that question. We'll talk about why we overlook the truth, why believing it hurts at first, but heals in the long run, and how choosing to see clearly is the beginning of freedom. But before we go, kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel for more intriguing videos. Meanwhile, let's be real. It's not that you didn't notice. You did. You caught the tone when they spoke over you. You felt the pause when you needed them most and they weren't there. You watched how quickly their kindness vanished when the spotlight wasn't on them. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't subtle. It was right there, playing out in real time. So why didn't you believe it? Because the truth is expensive. It asks you to leave comfort behind. It asks you to face the disappointment, the disruption, the reality that someone you care about may not be who you hoped. That maybe the connection was never as mutual as you made it. That maybe the dream you built around them wasn't grounded in who they were, but in who you wanted them to be. We rewrite people in our minds because it feels safer than rewriting our lives. It's easier to stay in the illusion than to dismantle it. Believing someone's potential feels better than acknowledging their pattern, especially when that pattern forces you to draw a boundary you're not ready for. But every time you excuse the truth, you pay for it in silence, in sleepless nights, in second-guessing yourself over things you actually got right. You're not protecting the relationship. You're just delaying the heartbreak. You're walking on emotional credit, hoping the debt won't come due. And it always does. So, please ask yourself, what costs more in the long run? Is it accepting who someone is, even if it stings, or bending your own reality just to keep them in the picture and losing yourself along the way? You aren't blind. You just didn't want to believe it. But belief isn't about proof. It is about permission. And Maya Angelou gave you that permission. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Because believing them is the first step in protecting you. There's always a moment. You might not talk about it. You might even try to forget it. But it's there. And if you sit with yourself long enough, you'll remember it clearly. The night they made that joke at your expense and laughed a little too hard. The time you opened up about something painful and they responded with silence or sarcasm. The way they dismissed the struggle of someone else and wore pride like armor. Their sudden coldness, the subtle manipulations, the shift in their eyes when things didn't go their way. It doesn't always come with a dramatic scene or with fireworks. Sometimes it's in the small, almost invisible details. A tone, a look, a choice. But your gut knew. Your body knew. That little voice inside you said, "This matters. Pay attention." And what did you do? Maybe you paused. Maybe your heart sank. But then you smoothed it over. You gave them grace, which is noble. But you also permitted them to keep doing it. You wanted to believe it was a fluke, a bad day, a misunderstanding. But deep down, you knew. Because when someone shows you who they are, it's not a puzzle. It's not a test. It's not your job to decode it. It's a clear message. So ask yourself, what was your moment? The moment they revealed the part of themselves they hoped you wouldn't notice. The moment you had a choice to believe what you saw or cling to what you wished. Did you choose clarity or comfort? Because that moment matters. It's the fork in the road that determines whether you'll move forward with the truth or carry a version of it that only exists in your imagination. And every time you ignore that moment, you drift further from your peace. Let's not sugarcoat it. Believing someone the first time can hurt immensely. Because it means the story you were building with them might never unfold the way you hoped. It means the future you pictured has to be edited or erased altogether. It means accepting that what you saw wasn't just a crack. It was the truth bleeding through the mask. It's not just disappointing, it's grief. Grieving the person you thought they were. Grieving the version of yourself who felt safe with them. Grieving the comfort of not knowing. And that's why people don't believe it at first. Not because they're foolish, not because they're blind, but because they're not ready to lose what they wanted to believe. But here's the twist. Believing them sets you free. Because once you stop holding on to who they could be, you can start honoring who you are. You stop performing, you stop fixing, you stop dragging dead weight through your days just to keep a connection alive. You begin to reclaim your emotional energy and reinvest it where it actually belongs. It hurts to let go of a lie, but it hurts longer to live inside one. So, what would happen if you chose peace over potential? If you stopped chasing explanations and started accepting evidence? If you believed what they showed you the first time, not the fifth? You'd hurt, yes, but you'd also heal. Because pain that leads to clarity is a gift in disguise. It teaches you to trust your instincts. It sharpens your discernment. It builds boundaries not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Believing them is not about being cold or unforgiving. It's about being awake, aware, and done with the exhausting task of translating someone's behavior into something it's not. You can love people and still step back. You can care deeply and still say, "No more." You can recognize who someone is and decide they don't belong in your future. And that's not cruelty. That's growth. So, how do you actually live this truth? How do you stop unseeing what someone has already revealed? Start here. Slow down the stories you're telling yourself. That voice in your head that says, they didn't mean it, or maybe it's just me. Pause it. Ask yourself, what did I actually witness? What did they show me? Look at the patterns, not the promises. Anyone can say the right thing once. But character isn't built on apologies. It's built on consistency. Who are they when no one's watching? How do they handle your vulnerability? How do they respond when they have nothing to gain? That's where the truth lives. Next, learn to separate grace from permission. Yes, give people room to be human, but don't give them permission to harm you again and again in the name of understanding. Your kindness should never come at the expense of your clarity. Here's a practice. When you feel conflicted about someone's behavior, don't ask, what do I want them to be? Ask, what have they shown me they already are? Then decide, do their actions align with the values you live by? Do they support the peace you're working toward? Or are they constantly requiring you to shrink, adjust, or second-guess yourself? If it's the latter, you have your answer. And don't just apply this to romantic relationships. This shows up everywhere. In friendships, at work, with family. You might think, they didn't mean it like that. But what if they did? What if that small betrayal, that offhand comment, that disregard for your boundaries was exactly what it looked like? Would you still keep them that close? This isn't about judging others harshly. It's about protecting your heart wisely. Because the more you honor what people reveal, the less likely you are to lose yourself trying to fix what was never yours to heal. So the next time someone shows you who they are, ask yourself, will you believe them? Or will you betray yourself trying not to? You deserve a life built on truth, not illusions. Take a moment. Think about someone in your life who has shown you their true colors, not once, repeatedly. What have they revealed in their words, in their silences, in the moments when you needed them the most? Did you believe them? Or did you try to repaint their picture with softer colors, hoping it would match the version you wanted them to be? There's no shame in hoping. No guilt in giving someone the benefit of the doubt once or twice. But the cost of ignoring patterns is steep, and that price is almost always paid by your peace. So what if, from this point forward, you chose to see clearly? What if instead of waiting for someone to change, you change the way you respond to what they've already shown? What would happen if you trusted your gut? Not just when it felt good, but when it felt right. That kind of self-trust is powerful, and it is quiet. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need proof. It doesn't need popularity. It only needs your honesty. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop unseeing what you already know. You do not need to keep explaining away what has been revealed. You only need to believe it. The first time. If any part of this video spoke to you, even just a line or a question that lingered, share it in the comments. Let us know what it stirred. Maybe it reminded you of someone. Maybe it brought you back to a moment you've tried to forget. Or maybe it gave you permission to finally let go. This space is built for that. Not for judgment, not for fixing, but for reflection. Every video on this channel is designed to help you slow down and look inward, to examine where you are, what you're accepting, and what you're ready to change. These aren't just lessons to hear. They're mirrors for your boundaries, your values, your healing. So the next time someone shows you who they are, remember Maya Angelou's words, not as a warning, but as a gift, because clarity is a form of love. And believing the truth the first time just might be the beginning of a life where you stop betraying yourself in the name of potential. You're not here by accident. You're here because something in you is ready to grow. We're glad you're here.